I want to share a story with you. On August 8th of 2014, I became an American citizen after 20 years of living in the United States. And a couple of years after that, in 2016, I cast my ballot in a presidential election for the very first time. And I remember standing in line to exercise my right to vote as a new US citizen. And while I was standing in that line, I reflected on just how much it took for that to happen. And I don't just mean all the sacrifices that my family made and all the hardships that I personally endured, but I also thought about all the court cases and all of the protests and all of the changes in the law that had to be made so that I, as a Mexican American woman, could play a role in our democracy. In 1790, and yes, I am taking you that far back, just bear with me for one moment. In 1790, the first Congress of the United States established in the law who was eligible for naturalization. And it said that free white persons of good character who had resided in the US for 2 years were eligible to become naturalized. Those were also the same people that were able to vote, basically free white men. As a Mexican woman, I would not have been able to cast a ballot. And in fact, for the next 162 years, Congress and courts argued about who could become a naturalized citizen based on someone's race. It wasn't until 1952 that Congress asserted that a person could become a citizen of the United States without being denied or abridged because of race or sex or because such a person was married. It's probably worth noting that a woman's citizenship depended on her husband, but that's a topic for another time. Still today, we know that for Black people, for Latino immigrants, including Afro-Latinos and other people of color, it is still more difficult to become citizens and therefore way more challenging to become eligible to vote. For many, a path to citizenship doesn't even exist. So for those of us today who are naturalized US citizens, who had the option to become citizens and who chose the United States as our country, we have taken it upon ourselves to say yes to the responsibility to vote. We are not a monolithic group. Some of us are judges, some of us are members of Congress, as we will hear from many today. Some of us are writers, laborers, lawyers, teachers, factory workers, and so much more. Today, naturalized citizens comprise 10% of the US electorate. That means that 1 in 10 Americans was born somewhere else, but we are still Americans with the right to vote. And despite unprecedented hardships, we have grown in record numbers, with millions of us becoming US citizens. And now we need to take that power of our vote to the polls. Because as American citizens who have the right and the responsibility to vote, it is up to us to shape the future of our country. And so today, 230 years after the first US Congress said only white men could become naturalized, all of us new citizens, Black, Asian, Latino, and of every race, I celebrate us. And on National Voter Registration Day, I urge us, newly naturalized citizens who are eligible to vote for the first time, to make that pledge and to register to vote today. As a naturalized citizen, I am voting for all of our fellow immigrants who still cannot vote. So please visit newamericanvoters2020.org to register to vote today.